I never thought I'd be one of those guys posting their marital horror stories on Reddit, but here I am. I need to get this off my chest, and honestly, I don't even know who to talk to anymore. My entire life has been turned upside down in the span of 48 hours. Let me start from the beginning. I've been married to Elaine for 8 years. She's a high-powered attorney at Davis & Whitman, one of the biggest law firms in the city. I am an architectural engineer. We met in college, got married at 26, and had what I thought was a pretty good life. Sure, her job was demanding, late nights, weekend work, constant stress, but I supported her career. I was proud of her success, even when it meant I was often alone at home waiting for her to finish just one more brief. 2 days ago, I was working from home. It was around 2 p.m. when there was a loud, authoritative knock at the door. I opened it to find 4 people in dark suits flashing FBI badges. Actual FBI agents. At my door, they asked if they could come in, and before I could fully process what was happening, they were inside our house. "Mr. Mitchell, we need to ask you some questions about your wife, Elaine Mitchell," the lead agent, a stern-faced woman named Agent Kelsey, said. "Is she okay?" was my first thought. Had something happened to her? "Sir, when was the last time you saw or spoke to your wife?" another agent asked while the others began looking around our living room. "This morning before she left for work," I answered, still confused. "What's going on?" They exchanged glances before Agent Kelsey spoke again. "Mr. Mitchell, your wife is currently involved in a federal investigation. We have reason to believe she's been assisting a client of hers, Marcus Donovan, in evading federal custody." The name sounded vaguely familiar. I remembered Elaine mentioning a high-profile case she was working on, something about financial fraud. But helping him escape custody? That couldn't be right. There must be some mistake, I insisted. "Elaine wouldn't do that." Agent Kelsey pulled out her phone and showed me a security camera image. It was grainy but unmistakably Elaine, walking with a man I'd never seen before, entering a motel on the outskirts of town. The timestamp showed 11:27 p.m. last Thursday, a night she told me she was working late at the office. "Do you recognize this man?" she asked. I shook my head, feeling suddenly nauseous. "No, that's Marcus Donovan. Your wife has been seen with him on multiple occasions over the past 3 months. We have reason to believe their relationship extends beyond attorney-client privilege." The room started spinning slightly. "You think she's having an affair with this guy?" "Mr. Mitchell, we need to search your home. We have a warrant." She handed me a document I could barely focus on. "We believe your wife may have stored documents or other evidence related to Donovan's case and subsequent escape here." For the next 2 hours, I sat numbly on my own couch while FBI agents tore through our house. They took Elaine's laptop, searched her home office, and went through all our closets and storage spaces. They found a burner phone taped behind the toilet tank in our guest bathroom, a phone I had never seen before. They also found a USB drive hidden in a hollowed-out book on our bookshelf. When they finally left, I called Elaine. No answer. I texted her. "FBI was just here. We need to talk now." 20 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Elaine. What she said next would shatter whatever was left of my world. "Listen carefully," she hissed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Don't talk to anyone. Don't tell them anything. This is all going to blow back on you if you're not careful." "Me? What the hell is going on, Elaine?" I demanded. "They twisting everything. Marcus is innocent. I am helping him prove it. By hiding him from the FBI? They showed me pictures, Elaine. At a motel." There was a pause, then a cold laugh that I never heard from her before. "Oh, James, you always were so naive. So trusting. It's almost cute." The woman on the other end of the line was a stranger to me. My chest felt tight. "Are you sleeping with him?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. That's the least of your problems right now, she snapped. You need to listen to me. If they come back, you don't know anything. You were completely in the dark. Because if you try to play hero, I'll make sure they think you were involved from the beginning. My blood ran cold. Are you threatening me? I am protecting you, you idiot. But if you don't keep your mouth shut, I'll have no choice but to protect myself. And trust me, James, you don't want that. The call ended. I sat there, phone in hand, as my 8-year marriage crumbled around me like ashes. I'll update more tomorrow. Right now, I need to figure out what the hell to do. The FBI is watching our house. My wife is God knows where with a fugitive, and apparently, I am one wrong move away from being implicated in whatever this is. Has anyone else had their spouse turn out to be a complete stranger? Because I really don't know how to process this. I barely slept that night. Every car that drove by had me rushing to the window. Every noise had me jumping. Around 3 a.m., I finally gave up and started going through our things, wondering what else my wife might have hidden from me. I found nothing obvious, but as I sat in her home office, staring at the empty space where her laptop had been, I realized how little I actually knew about her work. She'd always been vague. Client confidentiality was her go-to excuse whenever I asked questions. Now I wondered how long she'd been using that as a shield for something else. The next morning, Agent Kelsey called me. Mr. Mitchell, we'd like you to come down to the field office to answer some questions. My stomach dropped. Am I under arrest? No, sir. We're just trying to gather information. But I would suggest you bring legal representation. Great. I needed a lawyer, but I sure as hell couldn't use anyone from Elaine's firm. I called a college buddy who practices criminal law. Mike agreed to meet me at the FBI office in an hour. Don't say anything until I get there, he warned. And I mean anything. The FBI field office was intimidating. All steel and glass and serious-faced people with guns. Mike met me in the lobby, looking grave. This is bad, James. Really bad. Donovan is wanted for orchestrating a $200 million investment fraud scheme. He disappeared 2 days ago while awaiting trial, and the feds think Elaine helped him. She did, I said hollowly. She basically admitted it on the phone. Mike's face fell. You need to tell me everything she said. Word for word. I repeated our conversation as best I could remember. Mike's expression grew increasingly grim. She's setting you up as a fall guy, he said. Classic move. If she gets caught, she'll claim you were involved and try to cut a deal. The interview room was small and windowless. Agent Kelsey and another agent whose name I've forgotten sat across from us. They recorded everything. Mr. Mitchell, when did you first become aware of your wife's relationship with Marcus Donovan? Agent Kelsey began. Yesterday, when you showed me that photo, I answered. And you had no prior knowledge of her work on his case? I knew she was working on a high-profile fraud case. She mentioned the name Donovan once or twice. But she doesn't discuss her cases in detail with me. Phone records show your wife called a burner phone associated with Donovan 47 times in the past month. Many of these calls were made from your home in the evening hours. You expect us to believe you never overheard these conversations? I felt sick. She often takes calls in her office with the door closed. Or she goes out to the back patio. The questions continued for hours. They had records of everything: hotel bookings, restaurant charges, mysterious cash withdrawals from our joint account. Elaine had been living a double life right under my nose, and I'd been too trusting to notice. Did your wife ever ask you to hold anything for her? Documents? Storage devices? Agent Kelsey pushed. No. Did she ever ask you to deliver anything to anyone? No. Has she recently suggested taking a vacation? Perhaps somewhere without extradition to the United States? No. Finally, they changed tactics. Mr. Mitchell, we understand this is difficult, but your wife has put you in a very precarious position. If you hiding anything from us, even if she asked you to, you could be charged as an accessory after the fact. That carries up to 10 years in federal prison. Mike jumped in. My client has been fully cooperative. He's as much a victim here as anyone. Agent Kelsey's eyes never left mine. We LLC about that. We re-executing search warrants on your wife's office, her car, and your vacation cabin in the mountains. We don't have a cabin, I said, confused. The agents exchanged looks. According to property records, your wife purchased a cabin near Lake Evergreen 3 months ago. The deed is in both your names. The room spun. That's impossible. I never signed anything. Your signature is on the deed, Mr. Mitchell. I got out of there as fast as Mike could manage. The feds weren't charging me with anything yet, but they made it clear I was still under investigation. As we left, Mike laid it out plainly. She forged your signature on that property deed, probably setting up a place to hide out with her boyfriend. The good news is forgery helps your case. It shows she was acting without your knowledge. The bad news is they'll be watching your every move now. When I got home, there was a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. James, it's me. Don tried to call back. I know you talked to the FBI. They screwed us both. I told you to keep your mouth shut, but you never could follow simple instructions, could you? Always so weak, so by the book. Well, I've taken steps to protect myself. Check your email. In my inbox was a message from Elaine with a single video attachment. I clicked play and watched in horror as Elaine spoke directly to the camera. This is my statement that James Mitchell was fully aware of and complicit in my actions regarding Marcus Donovan. James helped me communicate with Marcus using the burner phone hidden in our bathroom. He suggested using the hollow book to hide the USB drive. He knew about the cabin purchase and approved it as a potential safe house. I have acted under his direction and influence, as he believed this would financially benefit us both when Marcus rewarded us after successfully fighting his case. The video ended. I forwarded it immediately to Mike, who called me seconds later. She's trying to blackmail you into silence. Do not delete that email. It's evidence of her attempting to obstruct justice. We need to take this to the FBI immediately. But what if they believe her? I asked, panic rising. They won. That video reeks of coercion. No prosecutor would touch it. Plus, it contradicts physical evidence they already have. She's desperate, James. And desperate people make mistakes. As I ended the call with Mike, I noticed a car parked across the street, dark sedan, 2 people inside. FBI surveillance. I was living in a nightmare, and there was no waking up. And then my phone pinged with a text message from another unknown number. You always were pathetic, James. I gave you everything, and this is how you repay me. By choosing them over your own wife? Marcus has friends in places you can imagine. Sleep tight. I spent the night at Mike's place. After that threatening text, neither of us thought it was safe for me to stay at home. Mike has a security system and a very large dog named Brutus who didn't seem thrilled about having an overnight guest but eventually warmed up to me. The next morning, Mike and I went to meet with the FBI again. We showed them Elaine's video and the threatening text. Agent Kelsey's face remained impassive as she watched the video, but I could see a slight tightening around her eyes. This is unusual, she finally said. Most attorneys who cross the line don't create evidence against themselves. She's not creating evidence against herself, I argued. She's trying to create evidence against me. Either way, it suggests she's not thinking clearly, Agent Kelsey replied. Desperate people make mistakes, and right now, we need those mistakes to find her and Donovan. They took my phone to extract the text messages and video properly. While a tech agent was doing that, Kelsey slid a folder across the table to me. We found these at the cabin. I think you should see them. Inside were photographs, dozens of them, Elaine and Donovan together, at restaurants, on what looked like a yacht, entering hotel rooms. In some, they were kissing. In others, Well, let's just say I now know what my wife looks like in lingerie I never bought her. The timestamp showed they dated back nearly 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Nights she, D told me she was working late or at conferences. Weekends she, D claimed were work retreats. All spent with him. But the most disturbing photos were the last ones. They showed Elaine and Donovan at our house, my house, sitting at our kitchen table, looking at documents. In one, they were laughing over what appeared to be takeout from our favorite Thai place. In another, they were in our living room, his arm around her shoulders. He had been in our home. While I was away on business trips, she had brought him into our space, our sanctuary. When were these taken? I managed to ask, my voice barely audible. Various dates over the past 3 months, Kelsey said gently. It was the first time D heard any softness in her voice. Mr. Mitchell, I believe you when you say you didn't know about your wife's activities. These photos tell a story of deliberate deception. I pushed the folder away, unable to look anymore. What happens now? They put out an alert for both of them. Every airport, train station, and border crossing has their photos. They frozen all accounts associated with either of them. It's only a matter of time. As if on cue, another agent burst into the room. They got a hit. Credit card transaction at a gas station near the Canadian border, about 4 hours ago. Kelsey stood immediately. Is the car still in the system? Yes, but moving fast. Local PD has been notified. She turned to me. Mr. Mitchell, we may need you again soon. Please don't leave town. After they left, Mike put a hand on my shoulder. This could be over quickly. But we need to protect you in the meantime. He helped me file for an emergency protective order based on Elaine's threats. Then we went back to my house to gather some essentials. I was going to stay with Mike for a few more days. As we pulled up, I noticed the surveillance car was gone. Apparently, the FBI had bigger fish to fry now that they had a lead on Elaine and Donovan. The house felt different, violated. Knowing that Donovan had sat on my couch, eaten at my table, probably even slept in my bed. I wanted to burn the whole place down. Instead, I numbly packed a bag. As I was gathering toiletries from the master bathroom, I noticed something odd. The air vent cover was slightly askew. I would never have spotted it if I hadn't been staring blankly around the room, but once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. Mike, I called. Can you come here a minute? Together we removed the vent cover and found another burner phone and a small thumb drive taped inside. I was about to call Agent Kelsey when the burner phone in my hand buzzed. I knew you'd find it eventually, Elaine's text read. Always the observant one, right? Too bad you never observed what was happening right in front of you. There's enough on that drive to bury you if I need to. But there's also enough to save me. Insurance works both ways, James. Mike took the phone from my trembling hands. Don't respond, he warned. We're taking this straight to the FBI. But before we could leave, the doorbell rang. We looked at each other in alarm. Mike peeked through the side window. It's a delivery guy, he said, confused. Against Mike's advice, I opened the door. The young guy in the UPS uniform handed me a package and asked for my signature. It was addressed to me, but there was no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a printed message. James, if you rereading this, I am already gone. I never meant for things to get this messy. Marcus ISN, who they say he is. The FBI is lying to you. The truth is on the drive they hopefully found by now. I did love you once, but you were always just so predictable, so boring. Marcus showed me what life could be like with real passion, real adventure. I am sorry it ended this way, but you forced my hand when you went to the feds. If I go down, you go down with me. Password to the drive is our anniversary. At least try to be smart about this. I stared at the note in disbelief. She was actually blaming me for this entire situation, calling me boring after cheating on me and committing God knows what crimes. And now threatening to drag me down with her. We need to look at what's south on this drive, I said. Mike was hesitant. If we access it, it could compromise its value as evidence. She said there's stuff on here that could save her. What if there's also evidence that could clear me completely? After debating it, we decided to make a copy of the drive first, then access the copy while leaving the original untouched for the FBI. Mike had a friend in IT who could help us do this properly. As we were leaving, my regular phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Mitchell. Agent Kelsey's voice was tight. We've located your wife and Donovan. There's been an incident at the border. My heart stopped. What kind of incident? I can't give details over the phone. How quickly can you get to St. Michael's Hospital in Vancouver? I am writing this from the airport now, waiting for a flight to Vancouver. Mike's coming with me. The FBI is sending an agent to escort us. They want to tell me what happened, only that Elaine is alive but in serious condition. Donovan's status is unknown. I don't know what I am going to find when I get there. I don't know what's on that thumb drive. I don't know if I am walking into a trap. But I know my life as I knew it is over, and whatever comes next is completely uncharted territory. More updates when I can. Thanks to everyone who's been commenting with support. I never imagined I'd be in this position, but knowing I am not alone helps. The flight to Vancouver was the longest 3 hours of my life. I kept turning everything over in my mind. The photos, the threats, Elaine's note calling me boring. How did I miss all the signs? How could I have been so blind? Mike spent the flight reviewing what legal exposure I might have, while Agent Torres, the FBI agent sent to escort us, maintained a professional silence, only occasionally checking her phone. When we landed, a car was waiting to take us directly to the hospital. The atmosphere was tense. As we drove, Agent Torres finally filled us in. Your wife and Donovan attempted to cross at a remote border checkpoint using fake IDs. Border Patrol flagged them for secondary screening. At that point, Donovan pulled a gun. My stomach dropped. He had a gun? Elaine was with an armed fugitive? Yes, there was a standoff. Donovan took a border agent hostage and tried to use your wife as a shield. That's when things got complicated. We pulled up to the hospital, and Torres led us through a maze of corridors guarded by both American and Canadian law enforcement. Finally, we reached a heavily secured wing where 2 agents stood outside a room. Before you go in, Torres said, you should know she's been sedated. She has a gunshot wound to the shoulder and a concussion. And she's under arrest. The room was dim, with beeping monitors and the smell of antiseptic. Elaine lay handcuffed to the bed, her face pale and drawn, her left shoulder heavily bandaged. She looked small and vulnerable, nothing like the cold, threatening woman from the phone calls and texts. Her eyes fluttered open as I approached. For a moment, there was confusion, then recognition. James, she whispered. You came. What happened, Elaine? I asked, fighting to keep my voice steady. How did we end up here? She closed her eyes briefly. It wasn't supposed to go this way. Marcus promised me. Promised you what? That you'd get away with helping a criminal escape justice? That betraying your husband and your oath as an attorney would work out fine? A tear slipped down her cheek. You don't understand. Marcus was set up. The evidence against him was fabricated. I was trying to get him to people who could help prove it. Agent Torres, who had followed us in, made a small noise of disbelief. Where is he now? I asked. Torres answered instead of Elaine. Marcus Donovan is dead, Mr. Mitchell. When the situation escalated, he used your wife as a human shield. A Border Patrol agent took the shot to protect the hostage, but the bullet went through Donovan and grazed your wife before Donovan fell and she hit her head. I stared at Elaine in shock. He used you as a shield? After everything you did for him? More tears now. He panicked. He wasn't thinking clearly. And you? I demanded. Were you thinking clearly when you threatened to frame me? When you brought him into our home? When you slept with him in our bed? She flinched. I am sorry, James. I got in too deep. I couldn't see a way out. Save it for your lawyer, I said, turning to leave. I filed for divorce this morning. Wait, she called weakly. The thumb drive. Did you find it? I hesitated, then nodded. Don't give it to them. It has evidence that proves Marcus was innocent. It could help me. Agent Torres stepped forward. Mrs. Mitchell, are you admitting to possession of evidence material to a federal investigation that you withheld from authorities? Elaine's eyes widened as she realized her mistake. She had just confessed to obstruction of justice while an FBI agent was in the room. I want my lawyer, she whispered. Outside, Mike pulled me aside. Did you access that drive yet? No, my copy is still in my bag. Good. After that conversation, I am not sure we want to know what's on it. Let's turn the original over to the FBI and wash our hands of this. I nodded, but something was nagging at me. I want to know why she did it. The real reason. Back at the hotel that night, while Mike was meeting with local counsel about jurisdictional issues, I pulled out my laptop and the copy of the thumb drive. The password was indeed our anniversary 06212016. Inside were hundreds of files. Emails, financial records, photographs, audio recordings. I started going through them systematically. What I found wasn't evidence of Donovan's innocence. Far from it. The files documented an elaborate scheme. Donovan had stolen far more money than the FBI even knew about, using offshore accounts and shell companies. And Elaine hadn't just been his lawyer or his lover. She had been his accomplice from the beginning. There were emails between them dating back almost 2 years, long before he became her client officially. They had planned everything together. The fraud, the legal defense as cover, the eventual escape. They had accounts in the Caymans, property in Belize. And there I was in some of the emails. The oblivious husband who provided the perfect cover for Elaine's activities. She mocked me in these exchanges, calling me trusting, naive, boring. Said I was useful as a front, but she couldn't wait to leave me behind once they had enough money secured. They had been planning to frame me from the start if things went south. There were even draft documents with my forged signature, backdated to make it look like I'd been involved in Donovan's business dealings. The final file was a video, not the one she sent me before, but a private one. Elaine speaking directly to the camera. If you re-watching this, Marcus, something happened to me. Everything you need is in the Cayman account. The backup plans are in place. If James becomes a problem, use the documents in folder B to implicate him. They made sure his fingerprints are on enough paperwork to create reasonable doubt about his involvement. I love you. See you on the other side. I sat there for a long time after the video ended, numb with shock and betrayal. Then I called Agent Torres and told her everything. It's been 6 weeks since that night in Vancouver. They've been advised not to share too many specifics about the ongoing case, but here's what I can tell you. The thumb drive contained enough evidence to charge Elaine with multiple federal crimes: conspiracy to commit fraud, money laundering, obstruction of justice, and more. The federal prosecutor is seeking the maximum sentence. Her law firm has disavowed her completely and is cooperating with authorities to review all her cases for potential misconduct. As for me, they've been officially cleared of any involvement. The FBI found evidence on the drive that corroborated my story, that I was an unwitting pawn in their scheme, selected by Elaine precisely because I was trusting and wouldn't ask too many questions about her work. They sold our house. Couldn't stand to live there knowing Donovan had been there. I am living in a small apartment now while I figure out what's next. The divorce is proceeding, though it's complicated by the criminal case. They had to testify before a grand jury about what I knew and when. The hardest part was sitting there, under oath, admitting how completely I'd been duped by the woman I loved. How I never questioned her late nights or her secrecy because I trusted her implicitly. The most surreal moment came last week when I was finally allowed to speak with Elaine in jail. She's lost weight, and without her expensive haircut and designer clothes, she looked almost like the law student I fell in love with years ago. Why? I asked her. Was it the money? The excitement? Was I really that boring? She didn't answer for a long time. Then, at first, it was just a fling. Something exciting in my predictable life. Then I saw an opportunity with his case. A way to make enough money to disappear together. Start over somewhere new. You were willing to let me go to prison for you. She looked down at her hands. I convinced myself you'd be fine. That they wouldn't have enough evidence against you without me actively pushing it. That's not how it works, Elaine. You, the lawyer, you should know that. I wasn't thinking clearly by then. Marcus had a way of making everything seem possible, of making the risk seem worth it. She hesitated. For what it's worth, I did love you once. Not enough, I said, standing to leave. James, she called as I reached the door. The FBI says you, the one who turned over the thumb drive. You could have destroyed it. Protected me. I looked back at her. That's the difference between us, Elaine. I still believe in doing the right thing, even when it hurts. As I walked out, I felt something lift from my shoulders, not forgiveness, exactly, but acceptance. The life I thought I had is gone forever. My wife was never who I thought she was. But I survived, and I am finally free of her lies. I am seeing a therapist now. Moving forward is hard when your entire reality has been called into question. Every memory of our marriage is tainted, viewed through the lens of her deception. But I am taking it one day at a time. To everyone who's commented with support and advice through this nightmare, thank you. You've helped more than you know. This will be my final update on this situation. It's time to close this chapter and start writing a new one. Some of you have asked what I learned from all this. Here it is. Trust, but verify. Love deeply, but keep your eyes open. And remember that sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones closest to us. The ones we